Hi, everybody. Welcome. My name is Rachel. I am a doula, and this is my podcast. It's called Transmission Maternité, and it's a bilingual podcast. And today it's in English. If we also do it live, so if you follow me on my YouTube channel, you can assist to the podcast live and ask your question as it's going. So, yes, I am a doula. So, what I do is I assist and support women throughout their pregnancy, birth, and postpartum journeys. And if you need a doula or you have questions, don't hesitate to contact me. Um, oh, Let me know if you can hear me well. And if you can't, I'm going to see what I can do. So, yeah, don't hesitate to contact me on my Instagram. And I also offer free 20-minute consultations to anybody. So if that's interesting to you, don't hesitate. So today we're going to talk about parenting, and we're going to talk specifically about bonding through touch. And we have here the owner of Bond Through Touch Massage and Healing Therapy. Um, and she's going to talk to us about her practice and how she came into starting it, what inspired her to do it, and how it can help, us bond with our children, and how we can bond with our children through touch, basically. So I'm going to introduce her now. Hello.
Hello.
So, hi, so this is Nora. So I'm gonna let you introduce yourself a little bit. So talk to us about, yourself and your practice. What do you do? And yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so my name is Nora Jean. I am the owner and founder of Bond Through Touch Massage and Holistic Therapy. I am a massage therapist, a mother, a lover, light, um, and currently studying just finished my doula practice. So I am now certified full spectrum doula.
Welcome. I'm so happy to have you. Since we met, you've been such a wise and just beautiful presence in my life. So thank you for that. But yes, so you are a doula now, but what you've been doing the last years is really massage therapy.
Yes.
And I think, it's such a perfect fit because you were specializing in, massage therapy with parents and pregnancy. Can you talk to us more about that?
Okay, so I'm currently certified in over 7 different modalities. My specialty right now is pregnancy massage and infant child massage and parent child massage. So I teach parents how to massage their babies and their children, and I give parents massage and families massage. So I'm not to exclude dads. Also, we also include them too. So, but my focus is mostly working with families around that.
And why did you start, like, what did you start working through massage therapy to help families and assist families? Like, what was your journey towards that?
My journey, my journey was more an intuitive one. Um, I realized and didn't know back then, but I was suffering through postpartum depression when I had my daughter 15 years ago. So I often found that the most calming and the easiest times that we had together when we were connecting and just bonding and loving each other was just when I was able to massage her and hold her and do all kinds of just rubbing techniques on her. I wasn't familiar with then, but fast forward a couple of years later, I got my very first professional massage after being an educator for so many years, suffering from extreme lower back pain. I don't know if you know about educators who are constantly bent over working with little kids, but yeah, so I got my first massage and I realized that I needed to learn. I needed to learn how to do this massage thing that I realized was already within me. I never
Mm.
recognized it, but I also knew that it was something that I had been doing intuitively working with children. I was always the one that was touching, rubbing, and playing touching games, and talking about the body, talking about consent, just very open and loving about it. And so I started my course and my journey there, and it's just been taking off since then. And now I'm at the point where I'm just combined everything together. So educating, massage therapy, and I had to add, of course, supporting moms during their pregnancy and even before then, like their fertility journey too. Like that's all included too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so great. And I what I really love is like you said, it's like massage was part of you before you went and actually got your certification and your training. And I feel like a
Mhm.
lot of people that are working, in their purpose, that's kind of the sentiment that comes up. And I would say also for myself, it's really it's you do it before you actually get the training for it, and you already have an affinity, and you
Right.
already have a sensibility to it. And I think that's beautiful that it also takes courage to pursue that calling when it's not really what you thought your life was going to look like, or what you already had as an experience. Was it difficult for you to make the move from being an educator and having this vision of your life to becoming a massage therapist?
Girl, I don't even know how I survived those years, but I knew I had a vision. I had a passion for it, and it was something that was just innate within me. I just needed to put the knowledge and, like, get those certificates so you can get paid for them. So I was investing all
Yeah.
this money in school, but I also knew that, like, even just it was something that was within me, and it was going to happen, and it had to happen this way. um I, like I was saying, like, it's just when you're one of those people who are naturally just go to touch and hugs and just wanting to stroke and be around other people in that sense and hold space for people especially, then it's only natural that you get on and you go on into that journey. It was difficult in the time. I mean, like, my daughter was young at the time,
Yeah.
and so working full time and going to school full time at the same time, it was a lot. But then
Wow.
it worked out because it was my passion.
Yes, living out your passion, like I said, it takes so much courage because you're not going through a path that's already made. Like, you really have to make it through. And a lot
Mhm.
of times, it's such a lonely journey because you really have to pull that energy from within yourself. So, just congrats for that, because I know it was difficult, but I'm really happy that you're now offering those services. And I really love the name of your brand, Bond Through Touch, because that's basically what happened to you and your daughter,
Mhm.
where you were struggling with, depression, and you were able to kind of like suit yourself through touch. And I think that's something that's really underestimated. Like, how do you see in your experience, like, what was your do you have any like testimonies of like people that were able to kind of connect or work through things through touch?
You know, I could think of a couple of situations and a couple of people, but um, I just need to, like, go back because I'm from for some reason she's coming to me. My massage teacher was one of my greatest inspirations too, because it was just like, when you're in that learning curve of your life, when you're just unlearning a lot of, like, the ways of the world and realizing that everything that you've been taught is not necessarily as is, and then just incorporating massage into
Mm-hmm.
it, you get to see. But I have a lot of clients right now who, it's a place that we get together, we speak about, like, what do they want to come out of the session, and
Mm-hmm.
then they leave almost like a different person. you know um, I actually made a journal last year, which was inspired by one of my massage clients. She was an ex-worker, um, and was a person who was overtouched, and a person who didn't connect with her body and herself. And it took
Mm-hmm.
her a long time to actually start opening up and becoming comfortable on my table. And I realized it was just our conversations that we used to have and where she would like talk about like, oh, I experienced touch today and I did this and that. And so I was like, that is so awesome. And then together we were journaling about it. And then I decided to make a journal. So I have a journal that you can find online on Amazon. It's called, oh my God, I forgot. Bond through touch, journal to conscious touch. Way to promote myself. Um, yeah. And it's working with people like that, that kind of inspire you and make you realize the power of the things you do. And, it's such a gift because all I'm doing is using my hands and using the energy from my heart and just connecting and breathing with the person and holding space. And you can do wonders. And, you can either take a pill or you can lie on a massage table, So I think one is better than the other. But like I said, it's quite a journey and it's quite a thing to kind of see different people go through the different phases, especially when you're working through massaging with them also. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. When I think about it, yes, it's crazy because like I said, it's so underestimated to me. I never really thought about it as much. Like really touching is healing, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And through it, like you said, you develop trust. Um it's just beautiful. And then how do you practice with children and infants, and where do you see it like becoming healing to an infant and a child?
I think it's just natural, isn't it? I mean, when you pick up a baby, what's the first thing that you're doing? You're rubbing their back, you're kind of holding them, you're playing with them, you're going through them, you're smelling their skin. Like you're naturally exploring a baby's body. And like
Yeah.
they're so receptive to it, especially now. I mean, like I feel like it's almost natural when you see a person with a newborn baby. You'll see mothers constantly just opening and unfolding their baby's hands, and it takes just that little knowledge to massage the little palm inside, and just knowing like and having a routine into it. It's just exploring the body basically, and you'll watch the baby's reaction. And this also builds onto the conversation around consent and body autonomy and like understanding their body parts and language, right? A child will then
Mhm.
know what they like because everybody's different, right? Some people don't like their feet being touched and other people do. So this is where you get to explore, you get to talk. And the older your child gets, this is where you get to have more conversations about body safety, body autonomy, healthy bodies, and, just learning to explore themselves. I see children thrive and become super confident when they're able to talk about, the different parts of their bodies and not using baby words like dada, they're saying my derriere, or, they're using proper words or words, language that the parent has communicated with them. I don't want to go into terms that are proper terms. You can speak the own language to your child. So I always tell parents, like,
Mhm.
this is the time for you to build this conversation and you to open up and have this intimate moment with it. And I feel like also we have the stigma around touch and touching children. And it's to the
Mhm.
point right now where it makes you wonder why we have such a negative connotation around it. I mean, because you want there to be healthy touch, but you also want children and everybody to know that there's unhealthy touch. But what is healthy touch should be our focus, especially for a child, right?
Mhm.
Before they
Mhm.
learn about all the dirtiness of the world, like teach them what healthy touch is, what healthy touch means to them, especially, and how to voice and have the words and conversations around that. So, like, that's a lot of the discussions that I do have with parents, is like, are you able to explore that with your child, and then it makes you go within yourself. Like, because if you're not comfortable with yourself and your body and your words and such, like, you're going to translate that to your child, right? So when these are
Mhm.
things that parents need to be conscious of often. And please stop me if I am going on a rant right now.
Oh, go ahead.
So after we give birth, and it's natural, moms give birth, or like during the whole pregnancy stage, your body's changing. You're different. You don't even look the same, and so many things happen to us that we don't even read in the books what happens to your body. And then you're left with now another being and a body that you don't recognize. And what I was saying before, having a body is so hard. We are spirits within this meat suit that we have to learn to adapt with,
Yeah.
And I feel like if we have healthy language for ourselves and represent that to our children, and be able to model what it means to have that healthiness, and to, be able to talk about the healthy body, what it means, and even recognizing when it's not within yourself. That's a perfect conversation for parents to have with their children.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I've never thought about it this way. So basically, you're saying that we focus a lot on healthy touch with children, but we don't really focus on healthy touching. And I, honestly, thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, I thought my daughter, like, what, nobody should touch you there. Don't, if something like this happens, you have to tell me. But I didn't really teach her like what does healthy touch look like by word. I think I
Mhm.
do with my physical touch, but again, what is healthy with your mother is different maybe with other people as well. So yeah, thank you for making me think about that. And I totally agree with you. Like we were talking about before, like when you have an infant, a newborn,
Mhm.
um coming into their own, coming into their bodies, I think massaging and stretching them and getting them to be aware of their body, like you said, it's really like it makes you more confident, right? So um I know you talked about your experience massaging your daughter. Like, how did you perceive her, like, getting this massage? It was making her feel good. Like, what was your experience?
Well, my daughter still to this day, when she's in the mood, because mind you, she's a teenager now, will still ask for a massage. It's there's something about communicating and using the language of touch that just stays with the person forever. You know, like another thing that I like to teach families is, like, I like to call it a love language. Like just learning how to speak through language of love. And so that's singing a song and doing an action that's specifically for you and your child. Like that is affectionate, filled with love, and has some sort of touch associated to it. And this way it will translate forever. Like if you just close your eyes for a second and just think of a time when your mom was touching you and was saying something, maybe singing something, how does it feel? Like you can still feel that in your body to this day as an adult, because
Mhm.
that's something that just transcends forever and lasts with you.
Yeah, I love that because, again, intuitively, I do that with my kids. When I think about it, I do kind of like I made up a song for each of them, and I kind of sing it to them every night.
Yeah.
Well, I'm like, just like stroking their hair and like just, giving them the secure, like, physical touch so that they can fall asleep happy.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like it's true. And I think it is true because I think my parents did that for me and I still remember it. And I want to transfer that to my kids. And that actually brings me to something else, which is, a lot of time in our communities, like we do have some stigma with certain things such as um spoiling kids
Mm-hmm.
with, holding them too much, or not being strict enough or things like that. And I think, it can be harmful. And I think that we need to kind of indulge more into that love and that care. And I want to know what you think about it.
I was not born in those times when this idea came up with, like holding a child spoils a child, but it's almost sickening when you think about it, right? Like touch is the first language of the womb. So we need
Yeah.
touch. If you do not have touch within you, you do not thrive and you will not survive. You need touch. Everybody needs touch from somebody else. And if you're not touching somebody else, you are the type of person that walks around with almost an energy that looks like I need to be touched, right? And like I said, I was working with a person who was overtouched, and this is also a
Yeah.
thing that can happen too. But I mean, it's having that healthy balance. But I mean, without it, how do we go on? I mean, just think of the last time you didn't have a hug. Think of during the
Yeah.
pandemic when they were telling people to be away from each other. Look what happened. Like we literally have a society or even a generation of children that were born that were minimally touched to the point where like they're almost fearful of people, and this completely like disrupts their development, and it also influences their attachment, you know. So we want them to have that secure and loving attachment, or if you don't get the touch, then how are you going to develop that? And we want healthy adults walk around and with healthy bodies and healthy lives and healthy thoughts.
Yeah, and that's one thing. Like I said, it's like that idea that touch is, I mean, touch or holding or, holding a child is spoiling them. I think it is really underestimating touch again because we don't really realize how much we need it.
Mm-hmm.
I think we don't integrate it mentally, how much we need touch. And like I was saying, there was a study that was done in URSS, like before it was Russia,
Mm-hmm.
where they had like orphans, right? And they
Right.
had a group that of orphans where all their needs, like their physical needs such as like food, and like they were sleeping in like little cribs, were met, but they were not getting hugs and they were not getting touched. They were just gonna like feed them of their crib and leave them. And another group that was being held, and it wasn't even a lot, like it was just like, I think it was like a couple of hugs a day, which is like, again, imagine as a newborn baby or a new baby.
Right.
And what happened is that every single child in the first group, which did not have touch, died. And they died out of just like not having love. And that's how we really, this study to me, it really stuck to me because I did it when I was like probably 16, like when I was doing my, philosophy class or something like that
Mm-hmm.
in Egypt. And it really stuck to me because I'm like, wow, we really underestimate love and touch, like how much we actually need it. Like it's vital. It's, if you don't have it, you die. And I
Right.
think if we really integrate that mentally, we'd have so much more focus and intent into like having healthy touch and secure touch and just like love, like be more intentional with that.
Mm-hmm.
um
Yeah. Makes you
yeah,
think, right? Because you ever been like downtown Manhattan? There's a guy walking around with a shirt that says "free hugs" or a sign. You ever see that? So, like, there's videos going
I've
around.
seen the videos, and a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people do hug, and I'm like, I don't know if I would do it, but I think I would now that I think about it. Like, but it's interesting because yeah, people need it,
We need
and
it. It's
we
it's
need
not
it.
even like
Yeah,
a want, it's a need.
it's
You
a
need a
need.
hug. You need to be touched. I don't remember the numbers, but a certain amount of times a day in order to be healthy, you know? So, and like
Mm,
people seek it, and you'll even see in children. Children will seek like the
yeah.
affection and physical touch from other people. And it comes from like either rubbing up on you, or, you know, you'll see in like little boys around in their school age times, they become a little rough, and we wonder why they're play fighting and whatnot. This is their form of like affection, and but it's unfortunate they're seeing like different rough ways, but they're still looking for that affection. So like countering it or teaches them healthier ways to balance it, like it will help them balance that out, that energy out. But it's just seeking touch, right? Like you're not hitting a person because you, well, there's a lot behind it, but that fact that you know that your
Mhm.
energy through your hands is going to the next person, although it's a bad thing to hit person, but you're still touching that other person. There's a reason why you're trying to put yourself
Mhm.
the person energetically in a negative way, right? But if you do it with a healthy touch, like healthy holding touch is another one of the moves and massage techniques that I share with parents, is just gentle hands on a person, like gentle pressure, and it just shows them that you're present, you're here, and the energy is being transferred. And that in
Mhm.
itself is so healing.
Yeah, definitely. And I was listening to a psychologist, saying that even hugs, like for really to really have the benefits of a hug, like you should have like a 30-second hug where it's like really
Mhm.
like, again, that transfer of energy, that sinking into the person, and that secure feeling is created. It does take like a certain amount of time. So also having that in mind, again, to be intentional with your touching, especially with your children, again, to like have a secure attachment. And
Mhm.
I wanted to talk a little bit about secure attachment, and I think I know there's different kind of attachment, like anxious and everything, but I think secure attachment where people feel safe and differentiated,
Mm-hmm.
um, it can be like I think you're gonna say yes, but can it be like fostered through touch? And
Definitely.
how can we do it as parents?
Again, it's like knowing a healthy technique, like having a regular massage routine. It's like having the moments where you're just spending time and connecting through that energy exchange where you're just holding space for a person or just physically putting your hands on a person. That definitely will build that secure attachment because it also builds confidence. It's sending love, and that's really what secure attachment is knowing that I'm loved and I'm loved
Yeah.
unconditionally no matter what, right? Because then you have like other ones like the anxious and ambivalent attachment where you're kind of like touch and go. And this would be like where, say, a parent who is extremely affectionate but also extremely violent or volatile, like it would, like a child doesn't really know, like, are they going to hug me or are they going to spike me at this time, like, and those are type of things that happen. But I mean, we're all learning. It's a new
Yeah,
thing, but we all want what's best for a child, and we all would love to hope that we're raising these children. But even if we don't or have not, we can always work on ourselves and work on for next generation and heal. Yeah,
exactly. It's really a healing journey. And
it
again, I
is.
think a lot of us like coming up from our families where we were spanked and we were like, that was just the way we did things, and now that we're like, okay, this is not how we want to do it with our children, but
Right.
also being faced with the fact that we have to heal our inner child. We have to heal ourselves first before we can give that experience to our kids. And it's work, and I think actually doing it through touch too can also help heal your inner child. And
Mm-hmm.
I was actually gonna add, as a doula, when I think about it, a lot of what we do is touch, like going through a birth with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
um, and just having just the touch, and sometimes it's just a hand on the back, or sometimes it's massages, but it just makes the person feel safe and secure, and that she's not alone going through that experience.
Right.
And I feel like I always say, people that I've been through their birth, like, it's just a different kind of relationship. It's a different kind of bond that we form. And I just feel like I'm attached to that person, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because we like just accompanying them into that journey that they took of birthing their child and being there for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question here. It says, can bonding through touch be a spiritual experience?
Definitely. Definitely. Anytime you have two spirits coming together and they have a goal, a purpose, and they're exchanging energies, it's going to be a spiritual experience.
Yes, I think sometimes we make the word spiritual such a big thing when it's really like a daily thing, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
very like a, almost everything we do is kind of spiritual, because
Right?
everything
We
that
are
we do in
spiritual.
the physical, it reflects on the spiritual. So yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I want to go back to infant massage because that's something that's really interesting to me.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you saw the, I mean, yes, because we talked about it before, but the traditional infant massages where it's really like with the shea butter, and it's like sometimes flipping the baby and stretching the baby and all of that. Like, what are your thoughts, and do you offer the service?
So, yes, I do. I personally do not massage the baby. So what I do is I sit with the family and I sit with the baby and I carry my doll and I show parents different massage techniques. In the past, what I used to do is I used to working from the feet to up, and we would work with different oils, specifically like grapeseed oil or oils that can be that a baby would be able to eat without having any issues. So we would use oils and then just do different massages working from the. Lately I've been working a lot with the chakra system, so I'm kind of like kind of connecting it. It's still working from the feet up, but it has a different routine to it. So, like I said, I sit with the parent while we're doing the massages, and we just going through it. We're doing like I love you rituals, and we're singing songs, and we're just going through the movements, and we are respecting the baby. So we're sitting and watching the baby's cues and making sure that we're open and attentive to whatever the baby's reacting, however the baby's reacting. So even if the baby is not learning while we're doing our lesson, we'll let the baby play and we'll go through it with the dolls and whatnot. But this will be something that mom can later take back afterwards. And again, I apologize if I keep saying mom, but majority has been mom, but everybody can actually do the massage. And I even see siblings doing it with their things because they're sitting there watching half the time too. So it's just something that gets passed on, and it's a way just to connect, and then you are also learning your baby's cues. You're learning when they like something or when they don't like something. And even before they're able to verbalize it or even like gurgle, you can see in their face like, this is not nice. And, you kind of back off and you kind of let them speak to you and let you know. And a baby who's loving their feet getting massages is going to kick those feet into your face, like, touch me more, and that's what you do. And that's what I'm there supporting the parents as they're doing. Yeah. And again, it goes on up until age 12. So we do the infant massage, which goes up until 18 months. So you get more active as the older they get. So you're doing different activities with them. And, you got to remember, like, growing into a body is really hard. These kids are crawling on their knees all day. I don't know if you ever tried crawling on your knees right now, but you're rubbing them afterwards, right? You're literally doing yourself a massage after. So it's the benefits of it, and then the older the child gets, their body's moving. And I don't know if you ever watched like well, of course you have, watching toddlers go up and down stairs. Like for us, we walk up them.
I know.
But their legs go so far apart and they have to reach. And
they're like climbing Mount Everest like every time. They're just like
every
like
now imagine after climbing those and doing that type of activity every day, your body is rubbed to go to bed, wouldn't you just
so nice.
wake up to be a king, like your queen, so these are things that I think about as because our bodies are hard. Like having a body is the hardest thing to ever have, and I'll keep saying this because we struggle with body issues and body things, especially so much more nowadays, right?
Yes.
But yeah, and just being able-bodied is such a blessing. And even to those who are not as much, I mean, like just experiencing your body and understanding it and accepting it and loving it for everything that it can do and works for you is something that we all need to learn how to do from a young age. And I feel like that would help people accept other people more. It would help open these conversations around the different types of bodies and different things that what people go through in life. And it also opens the conversation to like being more being more accepting of everything, of everyone, right? We just want loving little beings, right?
Yeah, exactly. But you said the massages will go to up to 12 years old, or?
Yes. So as long as children are comfortable. So what happens during school age now is we're working more with children building relationships with other children. So I find this is a time where parents can work with their children and just, within the child, have them consent and show them like what they like, speak about the different body parts and have conversations around their growing bodies. And
okay. Do you do sorry?
No, I was just going to say, it's just an opportunity for parents to continue on with that massage journey as they're practicing.
Yeah. Okay, that's really good. So I'm really interested in like what you're doing. It's so like wholesome. So where can people find you if they're looking for? I mean, I know you're in the Montreal region,
Yes.
but do you do like do you have like a studio, or do you go to people's homes to give your services?
Okay, so right now I'm currently mobile. That means that I come to you, and the
Yes.
workshops, when I do post them, we'll see if I get back into that. I'll do that in different community centers because I want them easily accessible to our community.
Beautiful.
So
I love that.
Sorry?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that whenever I do post, you can find me on Facebook, Bond Through Touch, Instagram, Bond Through Touch. or you can book with me at bondthroughtouch@gmail.com.
Perfect. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I'm gonna also put your information in the description so everybody that's listening, you can look it up later. So even people that are gonna listen to it later, you can look it up in the description box for information if you want to book. Do you have any virtual services?
I do. So I do my coaching online. And again, this is can be found through bonsertouch@gmail.com. And this is where I do a lot of my journaling with the families that I work with, families and clients that I work with. So also you can purchase my journal online. It's called Journal Bond Through Touch Journal to Conscious Touch. And it's a 5-minute bullet journal that you can work through if you want to get back into or want to connect with your body in touch.
That's great. And I had a question for you.
Yes.
Sometimes, as moms, we can feel overtouched. I don't know if you felt like that before.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you have like a lot of kids and they're on you all the time.
Yes.
So, what is your advice for that, or like what are your thoughts or anything that you have to share? Do you want to share with about that?
Grounding. Um, my only experience is working in a daycare with a lot of little ones, and like I said, I'm a touchy person, but sometimes it can be too much, right? Especially when it just doesn't stop. But the only thing that you can do is ground yourself, and that means letting your little people know that I need 2 to 5 minutes alone by myself, and you remove yourself and just ground yourself. And you know what helps at that time is doing something as simple as a self hug. So a self hug is done by raising you if you can raise your less dominant hand, like so mine's my left hand, and you put it underneath your breast, underneath your arm, like on the side, and then you grab your shoulder and you just squeeze. This is called a self hug, and I love showing this to everyone because something as simple like this, giving yourself a self hug and just breathing, it almost feels like someone else is giving you a hug, right?
Yeah, it does actually.
Does.
Thank you for doing
That's why I say don't use
thank
your
you.
dominant hand, use your less dominant hand to kind of just hold yourself in. And just doing something simple like
Mm,
that, just moving away. And I again I always say remove yourself from the situation. And I know it's hard to drown out screaming and whatnot and bling, but like a couple of breaths is all we need sometimes because when we're constantly
yeah,
going, we don't realize we're constantly in a panting and not breathing, you know? And like I tell clients on
yeah,
my table all the time, breathe. And doesn't just mean like and then like when I'm going in there. And no, you need to literally take a deep breath in through your
yeah.
nose and let it out. And if we can take a couple minutes every day just to do that, you'll realize like you don't really breathe properly, number one. And number
Yeah,
two, like that is endorphin sending like a la max, you know? It's not
yeah,
going for that coffee. It's not trying to do something else stimulating, you know? It's literally just breathing. And our breath is our powerhouse. And once we learn to get that as and to use that as our drug and our main go-to, then you got it. I mean, we tell that to our moms in labor, right? Breathe like all the
exactly.
time.
Breathe, don't tense up.
Yeah, don't clench, breathe.
Accept.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for this. I'm so happy to have had this conversation with you. Thank you so much for coming on and just sharing.
Thank you.
And Sandy says, oui, un moment pour souffler, faire une pause et observer. So basically, yes, taking a moment to breathe
Breathe.
and take a break and observe. Yes, definitely. So observe, and like when you observe, you also like, to me, I always start with myself
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of times, sometimes we want to look at others, but I think looking within is always the best thing to do first, and identify what's triggering you and what response you actually want to have.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, thank you for the grounding like hug. That's nice. It's really good that it only takes this. I feel like for me, grounding, like, I don't know, I just need so much time and space to feel grounded, but I don't know, maybe I don't know, I have to
You
practice.
really don't. And what I like to do for little kids too, last one, I mean, it's just Like when you see kids are in their tantrum mode and they're crazy going, I don't want to use the word crazy anymore, excuse me. When they're not in themselves, and they have a lot of emotions running through them, you just ask them, what do you taste? They may not have anything in their mouth, but just for them to stop and think about their tongue, and what are they tasting? What do you smell? What can you see?
Yes, I
What can you
love
hear?
that.
Like it really brings you into your body, and all your senses are awakened, and like they literally have nothing else to focus on but like, hey,
Yes, that's such a good technique. We use this technique for people that have anxiety attacks.
yes.
Yes, I love that. That's so true. It's like, what do you smell? What do you see?
Mm-hmm.
What do you taste?
Yeah.
And then what are you touching? Is it cold?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's great. That's really good techniques for little kids for sure.
Definitely.
Um, I have a question for you. It's a personal question because for children that have emotional, like you just said, like not really tension, but some children maybe have more difficulties like um managing their emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that like touch therapy can help them, massage therapy can help them with that?
So definitely. Touch therapy is made for children, especially in their high emotions.
Okay.
Being children like that are mostly external with their emotions. What they need is something to come in to their bodies and something and
Yes.
holding them. And I don't know if you've ever had to hold a child when they're screaming, not, but I mean, just it may feel like you're restraining them, but
Yes.
sometimes that's all they need. It's just that tightness. And if not,
Mm-hmm.
and again, you're respecting their bodies and boundaries. Can I sit next to you? Like, can
Mm-hmm.
I look at you? Or can I hold your hand? And they'll scream and scream, but they eventually will calm down and like even while you're holding your hands, just rubbing their fingers and playing with their hands gently, just showing them that gentleness until they come in, and I feel like it's almost instantaneous, and it's a miracle worker. I mean, why else do we pat our babies and rub their babies back when they're crying? It's just natural. We want to calm them down, and it's simple touches like that calms us down, even when we're adults, right? So
Yeah, exactly. Even when we're adults, like sometimes we forget, and that's something that even for me, like sometimes we kind of forget that children are humans. And
mhm.
it's like you have bad days, we have bad days, but for like for our children, sometimes with like if they're in a bad mood or like they're not happy, we don't give them as much grace, like they're allowed to have bad days too.
Right.
So yeah, just remember that children are humans and they feel the same things as you.
Hmm. If
And yeah,
not more.
whatever. Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, because they're still learning, they're still coming into their own. And that's one thing that I also share with my clients, because a lot of parenting questions come up like when we do prenatal sessions, such as um you know again, like spoiling babies, or like can we let the baby cry, and things like that. And to me, I'm just like, if the like a lot of especially dads, they'll be like, well, if the babies, they ate and they took a bath and they have a clean diaper, like they shouldn't be crying, like we should just let them cry until they. And then I'm just like, well, if you took a bath and you ate, like, is that enough for you to have a good day? Like, are you just now completely
Right.
satisfied with life? Like you
Mhm.
want more, you want to talk, you want to communicate, you want to touch, you want to love, you want a lot of things out of life. And babies and infants, they're not different. So
That's it.
you know just have like keeping this in mind, like we're not just physical things, we are a soul, we are a spirit, and we need more than just physical things to feel safe and secure. So
Exactly.
yeah, so anyways, I we kind of like try to end, but then we went back into
Going.
it.
Like we can continue going because there's a couple of topics we haven't touched on, but we're gonna let them go.
Well,
Maybe do part two.
if you want to come back, you're always welcome. But if you want to add something right now, don't hesitate. I know that it's been a long day for you too. That's why I didn't want to make it too long.
Oh, thank you. I'm actually trying to feel like my shoulders actually go down. I realize when I'm stressed or I'm in that, like I bring my shoulders up. So just a reminder for everybody: bring your shoulders down and to breathe. And we'll end with that.
Yes, go rest. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for coming. I'm so happy to have had this conversation with you again. And anytime you want to come back, you're welcome. Like we can talk about other things. And yes, I know you're a doula in Montreal, so we need to link up anyways. So thank you
Yeah.
again for everything. Thank you everybody that was listening to us and everybody that's listening to us, after, this is live on the podcast and on YouTube. So thank you again, and we'll be back next week for another episode. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.